Hi, everyone. I apologize for the late start. Tech did its thing today, and I just couldn't connect to YouTube. So if you're joining us from YouTube, sorry for the wait, but I'm so glad that you took the time to join me today. I'm really excited, and I'm also happy that I get to be
Okay. A bit more.
I get to be hosting the Uncut Thread a little more than usual. Um, I've been on break, and Lisa, Bob, and Cheryl and Judy have been holding fort. So a huge thank you to them. So today we're reverting kind of to our regular chats, you know, how we just come and we talk. So you know the summit is coming, and when it's close, I'm always like the mad professor because I always have things cooking, trying to get ready, you know, juggling a lot of stuff, you know, and I never get you. It's never easy. I never get used to it. It's easier to handle, you know, but it is what it is, and it's the season. So thank you so much for your patience. You know, I've dropped the ball a few times on a few things, but thank you so much for just accommodating me. So, like I said today, there's no structure, there's no topic. You know, it's just an ask me anything specifically about the summit and any other thing about Quilt Africa that you would like to know. So I know that over the past few months, this year, you know, towards the tail end of last year, we've actually had a lot of people come in. And you know, the summit only happens in July. And so there probably hasn't been information for you to get a hang of what it is we actually do with the summit. So this is one of the avenues that I'm thinking, let's sit and talk about how it works, what to expect, why we have the summit. If you're wondering, you haven't signed up and you're thinking, is this for me? Or I've been coming for so many years, why should I come this year? You know, so we want to answer all of these questions, and there are no wrong questions. There are no wrong comments. There are no wrong thoughts. If you're thinking it, just say it. You know, it's an unfiltered, free conversation that we're going to have today. If you've already registered and you're looking forward to it, either because you've been here before and you're looking forward to it, or you've never been here, been at the summit before, but you've heard enough to get you all excited, I'd also love to hear from you. You know, so as usual, we're just going to go one after the other. If you have questions, you know, you can just let me know. Just indicates that you want to make a comment, you know, and go ahead and do that. And if you would rather not, your camera is off, you don't really want to speak, the heat, I hear there's a lot of heat in the US now, and you're wilted from the heat, you can just type that into the comment and I'll read it for you. Okay, and like someone said, welcome to my world. And you know, the interesting thing about summer for you is once it starts getting hot for you in the Western Hemisphere, it begins to get cool for me because the rains, I mean, this is like rainy season now. So there's a lot of cloud cover. There's rain like every 2, 3 days, you know, it rains. And the minute you begin to get into fall, I think when the temperatures begin to cool, then I begin to heat up until for the next 8 months, I'll be hot while you go into freeze zone, you know. So I think it's just really interesting to see that contrast. So I can see a hand up. I can see Debbie, and I can see Quilted Art Code Studio. So Debbie, you have a question for me?
Yes, in your publicity, when I signed up, there are two sets of dates for the summit. So I wanted to be sure that I had the right dates on my calendar. So
All
the
right.
summit is going to be what days?
Okay. So the summit is going to be July 8th. That's next week, Wednesday, the 9th, That's on a Thursday, and the 10th, which is a Friday. So those 3 days, pencil them in, and we start at 10 a.m. Eastern, and we end anywhere from 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. But on the
Okay.
last day, we end with the panel at 3:30. So we have an early close on the last day. So July 8th, 9th, and 10th. May I ask, Debbie, if you are in the portal, have you gone to the summit group? Have you joined?
I joined but I haven't had much time yet to
Oh.
actually look around in the portal. I did order some of your fabric and I just got it and it is terrific. I'm so excited.
I'm so glad. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I love the summit for you because you get to see the possibilities, you know, of what you can do. And always in the summit portal as well, people get to share some of the works that they have done, you know, or they are working on. So it's also a good place to get inspired. And I hope you get to join the Facebook group as well. That's another fantastic place that just is just a haven and a treasure trove of inspiration, you know. So I hope you get to join in there. There's a lot happening. So thank you so much for those questions, and I hope it has helped with
Thank
some.
you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so some comments in the chat. Oh, okay, all right. So Judy's asking, what does a typical summit day actually look like? How do you pace yourself? How do I pace myself? How would you pace yourself over across the 3 days? So really, now the summit has a sane pace. For whatever reason, when we first started, it was 5 days. I think it was 5 days. I think there was a year we did. Yeah, it was 5 days. So it was like jam-packed with a lot of stuff. But you know, over time we've cut it down to 3 days, and it's still a lot. And there was also a time where it was back to back. Immediately one finishes, another starts. You know, but we've seen that there's no need. There's such a thing as killing yourself with too much good stuff, which was what we were doing. We were exhausting ourselves with all the goodness, you know. So we have learned to pace ourselves by giving breaks between sessions. You know, there's at least a 30 minutes break between some sessions on days that we're really busy, like the first day. So there's at least a minimum of 30 minutes between sessions. We kick off every day at 10 a.m. usually. And I just come on, I welcome you to the day, give you a rundown of what we're expecting, you know, and then we get into each of the sessions. Now we have hands-on workshops. We have people who just come and talk about their quilting experience. You know, we have our showcases where we have people from our Quilt Africa tribe who show us what they've been doing, what they've been working on through their quilting journey, or sometimes we invite them back because we see their collection growing, you know, and we want to see the direction they're taking and, you know, what they're doing. And so we end at towards evening, you know, we always end towards evening each day. And so now typically summits, Quilt Africa is not the first to do summits, to run summits. We were one of the first to run quilting summits. But the typical format of a regular summit is everything is jam-packed and access is only for 24 hours. You know, a typical summit gives you access for only 24 hours, whether it's a free summit or a ticketed summit. But this is quilting. Well, I mean, I don't want you to just have all of that stuff for just an hour, for just 24 hours. I would want for you to brood on it, you know, to think on it, to work along to it. And so I extended each ticket to have access to the replays for 3 months. Each of the ticket comes with 3 months access. That way you get to go back. And I know sometimes life happens, you step away, you're not available. So the replays are always there. But I love the live element of the summit because you get to have everybody in the same room and there's so much, comments. I learned so much from the comments, not just from what the speakers say, but there's so much that happens in the comments. So I recommend that as much as you can, set time apart to join us, even if it's just for a little while, to just catch the vibe, go through the comments, and see what people are saying. So, but even if you can't, there's always the replay. You can go back, no knowledge is lost. I feel personally that our summit just activates the nerve endings of our brains. You might not even necessarily like what someone is teaching or showing, but somehow it just sparks some thoughts, in your mind that makes you think, oh, I don't like what she's doing, but I think I can go this way. That's a good thing. You don't always have to agree, so that's why I say whether you think you can attend live or you sit on the recordings, I think you should attend. A lot of thought goes into. So I'm now jumping, but just allow me to digress. I hope I've answered the typical summit day, what it looks like. So a lot of thoughts and effort goes into picking out the people that we have to come and speak. And I don't think we've had a lot of misses. I don't think over the years, over the 7 years or 6 years, I don't think we've had people, we haven't missed much. We haven't had a teacher that everybody said, oh God, they've all been amazing. So a lot of thought goes into me and Jerry and Lisa and Judy, everybody on the team going, what direction do we see the tribe going? Where are the gaps that we see? What's happening in the quilting world and how can we bridge our community to make sure that they are current, they are, whatever is happening, we are not lagging behind. And that's a delicate thing because we work with African fabrics. And so there has to be some kind of translation that happens. This is what is happening in mainstream quilting. How can we pull in our interest with the African fabrics in so that, we are on track? There's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of issues that we resolve just to make sure that we bring the right people who will say the right things. There's a lot of negotiation that goes on to say, this is what I want for my community. I go back and forth. And in fact, with this summit, I had to tell a lady that if you can't accept this, then I'm sorry, we cannot have you this year. So there's a lot of negotiation and making sure that what they bring is what you can use. That's back end thing that it doesn't matter. But I'm happy that when we do that negotiation on the back end, you get the result of it. It's because a lot goes on. We don't just pick anyone oh, please come and oh, please. No. There's a lot of thoughts and intentionality that goes into picking our speakers and the direction each year will go in. Now we're seeing that people are loving working with African fabrics. And so I'm thinking, you need to curate it. You need to not just jump on any bandwagon. Oh, there's a new technique. Let me just do it. No, we want you to be intentional. Because at heart, I am a creative as well. So I want to see personality. I want to see individuality. I want to see uniqueness, And so that's the thought that has gone into this year's summit, So I hope that has shed more light, especially for someone like Debbie, who is just joining us for the first time. And for anyone who has been coming, sometimes you're not even quite sure why you're coming. But I know it's because you generally just enjoy. So I hope this explanation has kind of given you an idea of, just the thought and the effort really that goes into, and you know, the interesting thing is there aren't a lot of teachers who are specific to African fabrics, whether the wax print or any sort of fabric. So you can imagine there's a lot of searching that goes on to make sure that you find a willing speaker that would be willing to translate their thoughts, their method, you know, to make sure that it works for the fabrics. Okay? So any other questions? Okay, so where do first timers start? What is in the portal? So the very first summit we had was in the Facebook group. But it was a little bit difficult to manage, you know, for me. And so when we started working with this platform that we work with for everything, I thought it's always better to have a continuation, to have a group, a continuation where we can house the recordings. It's a little chaotic in Facebook groups. You know, sometimes you see the video here and you see the video there, but within this platform, it gives you a specific destination to go to. You just go to the learning tab straight, and then you're able to see everything. I just like that it's organized. And I want it to be as frictionless as possible for you, you know, so that everything is easy to find. And you'll find that over time, we've gradually moved all our stuff to this portal, so that if you have ever entered one, then it becomes easy for you all through. So the portal is that exclusive space where everybody there and everything there is strictly about the summit, not the general Quilt Africa stuff, just about the summit. And each year has its own portal. So for instance, if you have the summit library, you find yourself in the different portals, and it's specific to the sessions and to the projects that we handle. So when you get into the portal, and I encourage everybody, this is July 1st, you have registered for the summit, you're not in the portal, you need to be in the portal by the 5th. Otherwise, we're going to fight. I'll fight you. I'll fight you because if you're not in the portal, you might miss out. And that hurts me because the live element is part of the excitement of the summit. So I want you to make every effort. If you have to wake up midnight, you have a busy day, whatever you are holding you, if you have to wake up between 12 and 6 a.m., please wake up between 12 and 6 a.m. and get into the portal. If you attempt and you have any issues, you let me know. Once you register, you receive the email with a YouTube video where I did a recording letting you know this is how to get in. This is where you find this. This is where you do this. So I want you to do that. Watch that video, you know. The important thing for any first timer is the email you use to register to purchase your ticket has to be the email that you register, you log into the portal with. That's number one. Use that email, register in, and it's so seamless. Follow the prompts. It will tell you your first name, your last name, your password, your all sorts of questions that, you know, normal online stuff asks. And then you get in. Once you get in, you watch the videos, you know how to navigate. Come in and say hi to us. I'd like to see you. I like to get to know you. And I really get to know you from when you begin to say hi. You know, say hi, poke around, click everything, anything that your cursor can pick, click on it and see where it takes you. So give like 30 minutes to go down every rabbit hole in that portal that you can. It helps you to understand more what happens. But in that video, I tell you, if you come in, this is where you go first. These are the most important tabs to click on so that you are not lost. And I've made it in such a way that all the events, all the sessions are already plugged into the portal. So it's easy for you to know what is happening when. I don't want you to be frustrated because we send out emails, somehow you miss them. We send out reminders in the portal, somehow you miss them, you know, but it just takes a little 10, 15, 30 minutes, just clicking. You know, when you click around, you have an idea. So you have the learning tab, you have the events tab, you have the discussion tab. That's really all you need. once the replays are in, learning tab. Once we start events tab, all the links are there. So it's really easy for you. So I hope that answers your question. The portal during the summit, before the summit, during the summit, and after the summit is your best friend. You don't even need me because we have time differences. Sometimes you send and I'm sleeping or something is going on, and I can't get to you. But the portal just makes you go in and out easily. So unless there's a major tech issue, like some people have been having, or a few people have been having over, but I'm always ready to attend to you, to back and forth with you and make sure it's resolved. And that's why we opened the portal like a good 2 weeks, over 10 days, so we can resolve all of these things to ensure that your summit period works, is good, So yes, you can join. If you somehow have forgotten your access email is lost, send me an email. I will go into the back end and I will get you in. And I will send you a link as well. Now, because we usually are upwards of 100 for the summit, I can't individually, it's like holding you by the hand to enter you through the gates. I can't do that. That's why we have the summit and the emails and all the other things that we put in place to help you. But if for any reason, getting to the portal is you landing in Abuja and not knowing where my house is, give me a call. Yeah, because sometimes it's so techy, you're not sure what is happening. It's like they just said, okay, come and see Miriam in Abuja, and they drop you in Abuja, and then you don't know how to get to my house. Okay, call me. I'll take you by the hand, and I'll walk you into the portal. But as much as possible, I encourage you, look through the emails, work it out, and then you can get in. So if there's no other question, I see the one in the portal, in the chat.
I had a question, Miss Miriam.
All right, Miss
So
Lisa.
when you say we start at 10 a.m., 10 a.m., like when you say
Eastern.
we start at 3? Okay, just being sure.
Yes.
Okay.
All times are Eastern because it's easier for me, less mistakes. So I just stick to Eastern. I find there's Central, there's Mountain, there's Texan, there's Pacific. It's too much for me. So I know Eastern, I stick to Eastern. If you don't know Nigeria and Eastern, we thank God for Apple clocks. Apple devices that almost anybody has. Just go to the world clock, plug in Abuja, plug in Eastern, and you can correlate and it will make sense for you. So, but I try not to give any other time zone because I've been so wrong. I'll give you an hour earlier or an hour later. So I try not to. I just stick to Eastern myself because I know it's 5 hours ahead of me, or 6 hours, depending on where you are, what time of the year it is. So I encourage you to just get familiar with Eastern or just get a world clock, and it's easy to work that out. Miss Lisa?
Yes, I just wanted to say one advice for the portal is that I learned once I got acclimated to the portal was to save the portal in one of my favorites or on my browser so that I can easily just access it. So that you don't have to scramble around each time you're trying to get into the portal. If it's in your browser or your save, you can find it easier.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's actually a very good one. I'm glad Lisa brought that up. I save the links to the portal in my browser. Otherwise, I scramble around. So I actually have it pinned, like favorites. Some browsers call them favorites. Some browsers call them star it. So I actually have it starred, favorited, and pinned. Otherwise, you would ask me things and I'll be scrambling around too. So I do that. I know there's the fear of, someone might get my login and stuff, but I don't care. I just save it. You know how it asks you, your operating system will ask you, should we save this for you? I say yes. So everything for me is saved. My email is saved. The password is saved. Everything is saved. Otherwise, I go crazy, scrambling around, looking for I look for my own emails. Like, where's the email I sent with the link? I have to look for it. So the best thing I do is I pin it, I save it, I use one email, and honestly, Apple even sends me, this your email is too loose. I don't care. That's what I can remember. So I just put it in. As long as it's not a payment thing, you know. I mean, it's getting into the portal. So I just find one email that even if you wake me from sleep, I can just, you know, say what it is. So that actually helps, especially for the summit period. What we did was we have a specific viewing page. So you will have that link. It's already in the portal. When you have that link, also save that so that any time of the day within the 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. time, you click on that link, you know, you get in per day. You know, so the details are there with all the explanations. I think that's going to help a lot. So thank you so much, Lisa, for that. It really helps. So what makes the summit different from other online quilting events? The biggest difference is this is for African fabrics. That's the biggest. You love African fabrics. You love the wax print. You're thinking about mud cloth or shwe shwe or, you know, anything African fabrics. Or you just like the fact that I'm in Abuja, you know, and we're talking from across the world, or you just like the fact that I'm a real bona fide African, whatever your reasons are, that's the reason why it is a different quilting summit. You know, the fact that I'm here in Abuja, in a country where we don't really quilt, we don't have quilting shops, you are my only connection to the quilting world, that's a huge difference from other quilting events. So you get to have my perspective as someone who is Shannon, come and take, it's disturbing me. Sorry. You have my perspective as someone who doesn't come from a culture of quilting, as someone who has a deep understanding of wax prints or the fabrics, you know, someone who can tell you why this is like this from an African perspective when it comes to the fabrics. So these are things that actually make us different. Another thing that makes Quilt Africa Summit different is that we are learning. We are learning. We're not mainstream. You know, we're not mainstream. We're minorities in the quilting industry, quilting with African fabrics. You know, so we are learning our way how to interpret what quilting is with the fabrics. And I think we're doing tremendously well. Because if I think of the first summit and I think of now, it's like an ocean difference between the skill and the works that are being shown and the exhibitions that are being entered and, you know, the contests that are being entered. It's a world away, but we grew together. And there are people who have been like right from 2017 up until now. That's like practically like 10 years, you know, 9 years, you know. So we're growing together. There's a wealth of knowledge about quilting with African fabrics in our summits. There's a wealth of knowledge. And so every speaker you encounter will not be talking to you from that height of excellence. Oh, I can't meet them. No, they will talk to you like people who have also figured out how to quilt with African fabrics. And so it's relational. You can relate, you know, because a lot of our speakers, I personally send as many bundles out to our speakers as possible. Some of them have never used it. So that makes the difference between you and them not too wide, because they have to take the skill that they have to translate that. So they do the work ahead for us. I insist that they do the work ahead so that you don't have to struggle through to learn. So for me, I think those are like really strong reasons, you know. I use the fabrics. Me and the fabrics were one. So whatever information you want about the fabrics, you can get it at a Quilt Africa Summit. And then the people who are telling you about quilting with African fabrics, they also had to figure it out themselves. I had to figure out how to make a 9-patch quilt with African fabrics, because I had to translate from quilting cotton to how will this work with African fabrics? So we're all figuring it out together. So that relationality, you know, that it's, you know, we can relate with each other where we are. There are people who have gone like far ahead, like Miss Carol, Bob, Lisa, you know, they have gone because of just they are prolific with creating quilts with the fabrics. So they have an understanding and they are all at your disposal, if I may say it that way. All you need to do is ask a question, and because they have that experience, they can easily respond to you, which is different from you going to any quilting group and saying, oh, I have this, you know, they might respond to you, but not in an in-depth way. So I hope that answers that question. Yeah. So I hope that answers that question. I'm sure there are other stuff, there are other things why everybody's warm, nobody is like standoffish, you know, nobody is like feeling too cool, you know. So I just love that there are no barriers between us. Anybody jumps in and everybody helps, you know. There's a real sense of tribe among us where we don't just use that word. We were not using the word before, but as the community grew and I saw how people were relating with one another, caring and looking out and saying, hey, do this, do this, do this. That's where it came, you know, it came from, you know. I'm really invested in Quilt Africa, really, really invested. It's my identity. You know how you are doing something and it's not, Dami, I need my charger for my laptop. It's not sure it's an enterprise for me, but more than that, I'm really invested in it. Okay. So Gwen says that her concern about the fabrics has been tariffs. Is my concern too. I don't know what we're going to do about the new, you know, one of the reasons why the Quilt Africa tribes grew so fast in the US was the absence of tariffs when I first started. There were no tariffs. So getting the fabrics to the US way back was the easiest, smoothest, sweetest thing. But now there are tariffs. And so apart from the cost of the fabrics, you now have to contend with the shipping of the fabrics. And you know, we've dealt with shipping irregularities generally out of Africa. Even from one African country to the other African country, shipping is worse than shipping to you. Let me put it that way. It's worse and more expensive than shipping to you across the Atlantic. Shipping to Ghana or shipping to another country is actually worse, you know. So now you add the difficulty of shipping generally out of Africa, and then you add the tariffs. But I still really work hard to make sure that it doesn't go high. And I'm not careless with picking fabrics, you know. I try to go for the good ones, the ones that will work, you know, the ones that don't needlessly have to be expensive. You know, I try to do that, but the tariff seems to be here to stay. The US is going through a lot of changes, you know, and we're just rolling with it. We're just rolling with it. All right. So the Linton tweets to share how they ship out of Africa into, oh, there are ways. There are ways of shipping. Any which way is not easy. And some of the ways require more manpower and more financial power than I have. So those options automatically are out of my reach. You know, so there are always things to consider. Always things to consider. All right, thank you so much. Okay. Oh, we're all hit by tariffs, honestly, I'm telling you. But we'll keep trying to find a way out. So thank you so much for that. Okay, so any comments, any questions? Any comments, any questions?
I'm just excited to start to see everything.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
I'm hoping I can keep up the pace, but I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So honestly, my excitement doesn't start until like 2 or 1 day to the summit. I don't get excited until then because I'm trying to make sure that everything is in place, but now that it's the first, I'm beginning to catch the excitement. Things are falling into place. Everything is working out. The last minute glitches are being solved, and just everything is coming together. So now I am free to be excited. But way out, oh, there's a lot of trepidation. Oh my God, I'm telling everyone to come. So you have to make sure your house is clean and you have food for everybody before you throw a party, right? So way before that's where I am. Oh God, do I have enough supplies? My head is just banging. But then closer to the time, I begin to feel the excitement of seeing familiar faces, and hearing stuff and and so I've been editing videos this past week and I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. So seeing how you will react to some of the contents that we have. So now I'm beginning to be like, oh, okay, yes. It's really exciting. I wish I wasn't too stressed to show some of the excitement. Because sometimes I'm editing, I'm like, maybe I should just jump on a video and tell them I saw this. But sometimes the work is just like too much. So yeah, you miss out on some of the stuff. So you just have to be there. There's amazing. Every year is like that. Sometimes I think, how can we top this? But I think it's a testament, especially the unsung. I think it's a testament to our community, honestly. So um, I share your excitement now. Okay, Debbie.
Yes, I just wanted to say I did get to watch your video on the history of the fabrics, and the discussion of the colors and some of the symbols was quite helpful, and that's what prompted me to actually order the fabrics. And so I'm really anxious for this summit.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love talking about the fabrics. I love talking about the possibilities of the fabric. Nothing has ever satisfied me the way talking about quilting does. Not architecture. It's a bit parallel. There's some similarities, but it never quite it just seemed like a lot of work. And I'm sure I work harder with Quilt Africa, but I enjoy it because I look for the outcome. For architecture, it wore me down. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work to get your creativity out. And interestingly, a lot of the times I had to stay up a lot in the night, drafting, making sure that my drawings, especially if I leave it too close to a deadline. And I do that a lot with quilting. But there's a sense of peace that is different from what I had with architecture. I would stay up till 3 a.m. and I'm stitching and I'm piecing and and it's so nice. I cannot say the same about staying up and working on my drafts in architecture. It was so stressful. So I feel so satisfied and I enjoy sharing all of that knowledge. I may have mentioned that I actually wanted to study archaeology. That mix of history. I loved archaeology. But as a Nigerian child, you must have some backbone, which I didn't have, to say that I wanted to study archaeology and not architecture. I didn't have that backbone then to face up to my parents and say I wanted to study archaeology and not architecture. So I just didn't, I didn't have that. I didn't have it. So now it's like I get to travel with you into traditional Africa, into pre-colonial Africa, and share with you the things I know about how my grandfather, my great-grandfather, my father, in the villages is a lot of the times in the villages, especially in the 80s, 90s, it was like pre-colonial Africa because a lot of the things that were being done were still being done. Now, not so much. But I enjoy entering into those times and telling you this is what it was. This is, but now everywhere is a global village. So there are still some traces of it, but it's not as much as when I was a young girl. And I'm so grateful to my parents for insisting that we had to go to the village more often than our mates were. And so that was where I picked up a lot of the knowledge, and experience and feeling, So in a way, it's archaeology for me, going back, and so I'm grateful for that chance and that opportunity. So yeah, so I wanted to say maybe you're wondering, is this only for experienced quilters? No, it's not only for experienced quilters. And they say, so reading all of this business stuff, they tell you that you do not make friends with people whom you are ahead. You make friends with people who are ahead of you. So you meet up to them. So even if you're in the summit and you're thinking, oh, I can't do that, you're in the right place, because it becomes aspirational for you. If this person can do it, I can do it too. One of the most popular motivational sayings in Nigeria that makes children get high grades is, the people that get high grades, do they have two heads? At some point, we all heard that. What kind of result is this? So who came first? God help you if it's your friend. So we grew up with position. First place. They don't do that anymore. I don't know why. Did they do that for you at any time? Or in the Western world, there's no position for exams and tests, like first place, second place, third place, up onto if you're 30 in class, 30 something. So, I mean, of course, like in my family, it's not like we were very playful, but maybe you would come like 10th or 7th, or 11th if you played extra hard that term, and then you come home with your results and your dad is looking at it. What happened here? What happened to your math? What kind of results are these? And then you are stuttering and stammering and trying to say the teacher doesn't like me. Oh, when they did this, I was sick. You're just thinking of all the excuses to give. And your dad looks at you and he says, you have everything you need to study. Why would you do this? So who came first? God help you if it's somebody he knows, because you will be in trouble. So Esther came first. Does she have two heads? Does she have two heads? So in essence, what I'm trying to say is, if you come to the summit and you feel like, oh, I can't do what Miss Juanita is doing with her quilts, or Miss Cheryl, who are part of our unsung, just tell yourself they don't have two heads. They do not have two heads. If I really want it, I'm going to get it. So that's how, or Cheryl. See Cheryl, she's smiling. You should see Cheryl's work for the summit. She doesn't have two heads. She does have skill and talent. But she certainly doesn't have two heads. So, you don't go in intimidated. You go in with a heart to learn and a heart to know that if I spend the amount of time, which is the same thing with study, if you don't study, you will not do well. So you have to invest your time, you have to invest your resources, you have to engage yourself to ensure that you get all of that. And the good thing, like I said about the summit, is you can always reach out to anyone, either through the Facebook group or send them private messages. I promise you they will respond. Oh, I love this thing that you did. How do I, how would I hit up Nancy a lot for stuff. I hit up Sue a lot for stuff. I don't know how I did it. I know a lot of people in the block of the month communicate with Judy outside of our community. I'm finding this difficult, or how can I do this, or what do you think about that? That's why we're a tribe. That's why we are not a quilting group. That's why we're not a quilting group. That's why we are a tribe. Because people will help you. They will give you honest feedback. You just have to want it. If you want it, you will do it. So don't feel intimidated that you are where they're doing amazing things. They're like me now. I don't like seeing people quilting. It intimidates me and I feel bad. I feel like they actually have two heads, because I'm still trying to wrap my head around how do I quilt. It's like this brain, I keep feeling like this brain can't. Then I saw something, I saw a template. And I said, Judy, have you ever used this template? You know, the wiggly free motion template. I saw that and I was like, I think that's my solution. So I quickly asked Judy and said, have you ever used that? She said I did, but I'm not sure it works. That it needed a special foot. So she said, I'll do this for you. I'm going to send you the foot and I'm going to send you the template so you can get started. So that's it. I didn't ask for, and I thank God that I never ask. Well, I do ask sometimes, but I mean, I generally don't ask, and people generally don't ask. But when someone sees you struggling or sees the gap, they just rise up and they feel it. She just said, I have a set of foots that I don't use, so I'm going to pack it up for you, and I'm going to pack the templates in for you as well, so you can practice. Because on the quilting side, so I'm now thinking, possibly the cost of a long arm is the cost of a liver or a kidney in Nigeria. You know, by the time you translate the cost from Nigerian naira to dollar, it will probably the cost of a kidney. So I'm now thinking, maybe what I need is an automated long arm quilt machine so that I just stick it and just forget about it and it gets done. So that can be the extra head that I think I don't have when it comes to quilting. You know, so I'm just kidding, but you know, I'm just like helping you to see you have to be aspirational. You cannot be with people who are at your level. And I said something at the last block of the month. I said the knowledge I have just from assimilating knowledge from summits and workshops is far more than I should have if I were just in my spot of not knowing or not having a quilting shop or being able to walk into and say, oh, they're having a quilting program, let me join. I don't have that. But just by being at the summit, seeing people's work, hearing their stories, hearing about the hours they put in and the amount of work they put in, it has built me up to a level that I really shouldn't have been. And that's what I want for you. Your bandwidth will increase just by being where people who do good work are. So essentially, that's also what the summit is about. You have to be where people do good work. Cheryl explained her stuff. And I'm like, we have people, I think I need to spend more time calling you all. Because when you open up your world, I'm like, oh my God, all this richness. I know you, but I'm missing a whole lot more. So I think just be expecting my random calls now. I'm going to be calling everybody. What are you doing? What do you know? You know, can you share it with me? Because there's just so much knowledge. So much knowledge. You're really going to enjoy the presentation that Miss Juanita and Cheryl put together. You know, for the speakers, you know, they are wild cards. So all of us have our fingers crossed, you know, but I know that our speakers this year are solid people who have a lot to bring to us as well. My money will always be on us, you know, the tribe who are presenting, you know, but I know that our speakers as well have a good track record of teaching, of skill and methods, you know, that they will share with us that we're going to translate into everything that we're doing, you know. So yeah, so that's it. So it's actually an hour. I don't know whether I should take my 10 minutes back, but I will see if there are any more questions, any more comments. You know, we can just chat, but in the next 9 to 10 minutes, you know, it's going to be over. So if you have not signed up for the summit, I strongly encourage you to sign up for the summit. I strongly encourage you to sign up for the summit. It depends on what you're looking for. But if you're looking for growth, you're looking for advanced skill, you're looking for inspiration. You know, sometimes you're good at it, but it just feels dull for you. The summit is that annual injection of oomph that you get for quilting with African fabrics. So please go ahead and sign up. And let's get in the room and let's enjoy ourselves and forget about the chaos. So much is happening, even in my world around me. So much is happening everywhere. You just need every escape route you can take and just go somewhere and be overwhelmed with all of this information and inspiration, and then you forget about, stuff. So please go ahead and join. And I said that if you're on the live now and you join, I surprised myself and I created a pattern and I want to share it with you. And that's what I mean about just being in the room and learning. I have no business designing a pattern, honestly. I don't have any business designing, but I tried and I was happy with it. Now don't have your expectations up high. Just look at it that this is baby Miriam with a pattern. If I exceed your expectations, fine, but please do me the favor of not saying, oh, she must have done something. Judy's laughing. Why are you laughing? No, let me give that caveat to that. It's good. For me, I'm amazed. So I want to share that with you. It's my very first pattern and I just want to share that with you. So go ahead and sign up and I'm going to, even writing of the pattern, I wrote the pattern and I used it and I saw there's so many errors, So I now went to, I worked it out. I tweaked some things. I was really feeling very good. I was really now feeling like a quilter, For those of us who are new, we will understand. For those of you who are like so advanced, I'm not talking to you at this point. But for anyone who is new, there's some things you do, you feel like, oh my God, I'm a quilter. I'm actually a quilter. That was how I felt with that pattern. I'm like, wow, it's like there's hope for me. If they have two heads, I think my second head is growing. I really felt good that I was able to actually sit and get it done and even create the quilts. So we're sharing that on Monday, I think, on the first day, on the 8th. We're going to everyone that participated in the challenge is going to share their work. And we're going to tell you what we were thinking when we created it. And then you're going to critique it. So that's the first time you will see the quilts. And then after the summit, I'm going to share the pattern with you. It's going to I did it in 2 sizes, like a baby size quilt and then a queen size, because I like big quilts, but Jerry advised me, if you keep making queen size quilts, you will never have a collection. You will never have a body of work because you will never finish it. So I went small, but there's a queen size option, which I think I'm going to make in black and white, and I think it will just be amazing. So there's hope for you. There's hope for me. There's hope for you as well. Yeah. So any comments? I do go on talking, so I apologize. Let me just look at the chat. If there's no more comments related to the summit or to anything, then we're going to, yes, I also want you to sign up for the library. Now, the library is a collection of all the summits. This one, all the summits are going forward. The only thing is that a summit will not join the library until after the live sessions. Because I don't want you to disappear. I want you to be here. So after the live session, then it joins the summit. But the advantage is, if you are serious about quilting with African fabrics, with wax prints, you just need the summit library. And you are going to have, so many projects to work on. So many projects to work on this way, one time, another way, and another way. If you are a quilter who wants to improve your skill, then you get the block of the month library. Because that also has all the block of the month. And the block of the month is 111. That would also increase your body of work. Because if we have like 6, that's 6 quilts automatically added to your body of work with all the education that comes, all the things that we normally do, the block, just like have it and it's yours at your pace, lifetime access. Okay? So, When I think you've signed up, so I'll send you to so you can't post the portal link because the portal link is for those who have signed up. So please don't do that, Gwen. The portal link is only for those who have signed up for the summit. It's not for public sharing, okay? And I know you've signed up for the summit, right? So I can drop the summit sign up link in the chat so that if you want to sign up for the summit, you can do that. But the portal link is only for those who have signed up for the summit. So please kindly don't make it public. And that also brings me to the fact that you also have to respect the intellectual property of the people who are teaching here. It's actually getting very difficult because everybody is concerned about their intellectual property. So please respect that. When we give you the viewing link, don't share it to someone who has not signed up. If we give you the templates and, whatever resources, please don't share it with someone who hasn't signed up for the summit. So I ask, that you just help us with that, okay? Don't share the portal link. The good thing is that the portal will even reject anybody who is not signed up because, it's linked to the payment process. So please don't share any of the resources for the summit or even any of our workshops because, if you do that, they will think it's me that I'm doing it. Because we always have serious discussions about, this is my intellectual property. And so it's always, in fact, it scares me. Me, I'm African, we don't have intellectual property. We have communal property. So sometimes having those conversations is very uncomfortable for me because I always feel like I'm doing something wrong. So please, I'm asking, respect people's efforts and their work and all of that. Okay. So I've dropped the link to sign up for the summit in the chat. And with that, without any questions, I'd like to say thank you so much for coming. And for everybody who has signed up for the summit, thank you so much. You signed up on trust, whether you've come before or you have not come before. You've just seen me with the good people of the tribe who make me look good. They say, oh, it's Quilt Africa. Oh, I'm doing this with Quilt Africa. And you believed, but you don't know anything about me. So I want to say thank you. For everyone who joined through the block of the month, and all of that, you don't know anything about me. You've not experienced me. You've not experienced Quilt Africa. But because of people like Lisa and Bob, who you hold in esteem, Cheryl, Nancy, people like Jennifer and Leslie that are newer, I know it's because they say we are part of the Quilt Africa. That's why you're here. So we do our best, not just me. The burden has actually shifted to everyone who supports me. We do our best to make sure that the summit is good for you, and that you enjoy it and that you go away feeling fed. I leave the summit feeling fed because that's when I get to relax after all the months of putting things together. During the summit, I kind of relax and I listen and I leave, especially the showcases. Especially the showcases, I leave that feeling so full and so satisfied that, oh yeah, I've really gotten something. And that's what I want for you to do that. Okay. So if you have any questions, if you've signed up for the summit, Ms. Gwen, that's for you. Please send me an email. Send me a personal email, miriam@quiltafricafabrics.com, so that I can get you settled. That goes for anyone else. You have any issues, not just on the summit, on your block of the month, you're having sign-up issues, whatever it is, please. I've been doing a lot of house cleaning with a lot of our stuff, so that things are just easier for everyone. So if you're having any issues, please let me know. Thank you so much once again for honoring my invitation today. Any questions at all, send me an email, any comments, any complaints, we're open to that. So send them to Lisa, send them to Chen, send them to me, send them to Judy. We will do our best to address and make sure that you are okay. All right, so today is the first. Next week, there will be no Uncut Threads because that summit starts. And I think we'll be having one on the 15th. That will be Cheryl's session. So encourage us by coming for the Uncut Threads. There's been some amazing information that has been going out. And to be honest, my pattern had to do with something I heard during the Uncut Thread, So a lot of effort goes into putting it together. Support us, share it, publicize us, make me rich and famous. Just share. Share. The hosts do such an amazing job. There's a lot that happens at the back end. So please just support us. We really want your support. So that's it. Thank you so much for coming, Miss Kathy, Miss Betty, Bertha, Anita, all my aunties. Thank you so much for supporting me. I really appreciate it. And I'm happy for the feedback that you don't mind me calling you. I won't call you auntie. That's American. I call you auntie Nancy. Auntie Lisa, so it's not auntie. So please, that's why I haven't actually been calling you verbally, because it's a bit strange in my mouth. So allow me to call you the way we call our auntie, not auntie, is auntie. Okay?
Okay.
So it's Auntie Nancy and Auntie Lisa and Auntie Jennifer and Auntie Cheryl and Auntie Leslie. So it goes down, not auntie. I can't do auntie. I can't. But thank you so much to all my lovely aunties. You're amazing. So nothing much will happen except in block of the month and pattern. So I'll see you next week at the summit. Thank you. Oh, and don't forget, July 7th, we have the kickoff, right? So please come for the kickoff because we'll talk about some things that have to do with the summit and other stuff as well. We'll keep it brief. I won't talk too much. So please come. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, Auntie Dots. See you. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Bye.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, everyone.